How's it going, everyone? Vince here with On to the Next podcast. I am talking to the world traveler, my boy Justin. He started out as a refugee in Africa, came to the States, and now he's a family man in Spain. Such a wonderful journey, and I can't wait for you to hear it. This is On to the Next.
It's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my cloth, they tugging it. Putting up numbers, 99 pounds, and I'm still kept at 100. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. They ain't come for my cloth, they tugging it.
Justin, what
What's
is up, man?
good? Hey man, it's good to see you, brother. Long time no see. It's like yesterday. We were just doing this.
I know, man. It's only been 10 plus years, and everybody, this is, uh, I consider him a good friend, even though I haven't seen him in 10 plus years.
Mhm.
This guy, this episode is titled The World Traveler because this guy's been around everywhere, and I believe right now he's right where he's supposed to be, right?
Amen to that, brother. No, I'm living a dream right now. It's a very challenging dream, but it's a dream. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, I wanna get to that point 'cause and there's so much to pack in, and 'cause we literally haven't talked in a while, and
Yeah.
this podcast, On to the Next, was just kinda stemmed off of people that I've, met in my life, come across in my life, or been inspired by in my life in some way, and,
Mm.
to dude, you were such a big part of that in that area of my life when we met to when,
Yeah.
you just you I always say he's gonna pack his bags, he's, heading on to the next. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I mean, but that time in my life was, so crucial because of what you brought to it, and, I wanna get into that, and
Yeah, man.
there's so much I wanna say because, like I said, I haven't talked to you in a while 'cause, how are you, like, right now, man?
Right now, I'm good, man. I literally just ate for the first time in 7 days, so I am extremely happy. I don't know if anybody's ever fasted for a week, but it's not for the faint of heart, especially for anybody that loves food. And I consider myself a connoisseur of food. I love food. I've had the privilege of eating it in a lot of wonderful places, like you said, all over the world. So, I actually didn't think I could do it. Like I never considered being able to eat 7 days or go. Well, I've eaten many more, much more than 7 days, but go 7 days without eating. And no, in this present moment, currently, right now, if you ask me, like my twin brother always says, "What's coming up for you right now? Where you at?" Right now, I'm just elated to have had some bone broth and I took the mirepoix and emulsified it into a wonderful soup, added some tomatoes, and I'm just exceedingly happy.
So
So
what stemmed the fast? Is it a more of a spiritual or physical journey, or what stemmed the
I
fast
don't,
for you?
yeah, no, I don't think you can separate the two. Honestly, I think
Okay.
it's all of the above, both
Yeah.
and. Um, it's deep. It's in the sense that I've been trying to grow significantly in my emotional regulation, if you will.
Mhm.
One of the areas in my life that I know I lack in is just the ability not to to react, but rather to respond. So, and I think you have these amazing gifts of children who are the greatest mirrors outside of your spouse or partner that you'll ever have because they just reflect all your junk back to you because they're just little sponges.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when they start triggering you on every level, and you're like, I don't know that I'm equipped for this. So, and it's like,
Especially
what? Especially what?
probably it really hit you today on your 7th day of fasting, right?
Bro, no, it's a whole nother level, man. You're like, look, son, I'm fatigued. I'm real hungry. I don't feel right in a lot of ways, but I know this is the right thing to do. Yeah, no, I definitely it was a decision because I've been doing a lot of meditating on what it looks like to just understand the things that make me me, because there's such a significant portion of my life that I just don't remember. I mean, my first legit memory is like 10 years old. So there's just so much of my I mean, if you trust the studies, like all kids' personalities are essentially developed by 6 or 7 years old. So the core identity of what makes me me, I just don't know how that was made. I know about the stories and what we went through, and moving from South Africa to Zaire and immigrating as refugees to the States, and then moving 10 times before I was 12. And it's like, there's just a lot. There's a lot that went in there that created a survival mentality and a lot of lack and poverty mentality. So it's like, it's just translated into adulthood. And then you become a dad and you're like, or you become a husband and they're like, oh, yeah, this person speaks truth in a way that I don't really like sometimes. And then your kids come along and they have zero filter. So it's like I got to a point where I was like, I need another level. I need to go deeper. And because I'm doing all the standard things you can see on the Instagram feed. It's like got my diet dialed in. I live in the Mediterranean. That's easy. I'm meditating. I'm fasting. I'm like fill in the blank. I'm checking it off. I'm like, but I felt like I needed to push myself to a level that I hadn't gone before, and it
Yeah.
was remarkable what it brought up and the stuff that it awakened in me. So it's been amazing. So I'm very grateful for it. I don't know that I will do it again anytime soon, but it was wonderful.
Well, I with this podcast, there's three elements to like being able to fully move onto your next is your spiritual, your mental, and your physical. I mean, those all three.
Hmm.
So what you're saying right now is kind of where like they're all tied in together. And if you
For
don't
sure.
kind of tie them in together, it's hard to move on to where you really want to be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I totally agree, and I've it's like even I've gotten away from it, and I'm like, man, I really need to practice what I preach, and I'm like on a journey getting back in the gym,
Yeah.
getting my diet right now, everything. And dude, I know it's not easy. I have a my buddy Lewis. I've been texting him back and forth every single day, kind of an accountability thing, because
Hmm.
sometimes you need that just to keep yourself in check. But
Yeah.
man, I texted him this morning. I'm like, man, this sucks.
Which part?
The getting up at like 5 in the morning
Oh
and
yeah. 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 Yeah.
and and sitting on a bench when I'd rather be in my bed.
Bro. There you get a lot done though. I get up at 5 a.m. every day, and it's like
Yeah,
that I was forced into that. So I understand. I appreciate it. COVID forced me into it because I was like, I can't work and during the day because I got four. At that point, we had three, but then we had a fourth. So my kids right now, my son will be 8 on Monday, and then my daughter's 6. My next son is 4, and the next son is 3. So 7, 6, 4, 3. So when
man,
we were in COVID, we're bored. What are we gonna do? Well, let's like make babies. That's fine. So we, I had 2 more kids.
that's
So
awesome.
back to
You're like,
back
"Let's
to back.
go. Let's get this
Let's
done."
go. We need this is COVID was hard. It was a tough time. But I
God,
you
trust
you
me.
can't you can't work during the day, because we were in Texas and isolated and had no community. It's complicated. There's a lot going on.
Yeah,
But I was like, I can't work during the day. So I got up, started getting up 5 a.m. just to do my work because my vocation at that point still is in a sense, but I'm moving out of it, is web design. So I was like, I can't look at these websites while kids are, I mean, literally, I have video of being on calls with clients and kids are just crawling on me, like bodies everywhere. So it's like, sometimes you just got to get up early, man. And then you become a morning person. You're like, this isn't so
yeah,
bad.
I
Just got to
know.
make sure you go to bed sooner.
Yeah, it's like that creature of habit. Once you get it, it's done. But yeah, man,
Mhm.
so I know kind of all over the place, but I I titled this World Traveler because I don't know if you remember the song we wrote together, The Fall.
Yeah.
And I kind of had mapped out of where you initially came from South
Hmm.
Africa. And it's interesting that you're saying that you just kind of don't have a memory till you're 10.
Yeah.
Because I mean, are these like things like when you look back, is it your brothers telling you, Justin, don't you remember us doing this or having to do this? Or
Yeah.
uh, I
No,
mean,
it's side note,
is
you need to send me that track. I want that track if you still have it.
I'll send it to
Somewhere.
you. I
That's me
do.
because I can great. No, the crazy thing is, man, my memory of my childhood, my twin's the same. My older brother remembers a lot more because I have an identical twin who lives in Atlanta. My
Yeah.
older brother also lives there. My older brother remembers Africa, but my twin and I just legitimately don't. And I'm convinced that it's just trauma. Like we just went through so much. I mean, we were born into apartheid, living in all black community. My dad was Rhodesian military and spoke 14 black languages. Like we were outcasts in our own dynamic. I mean, we were white Afrikaners who were like, apartheid's jacked up, people. Like, this is not okay. And so
Mhm.
our culture was like, you guys don't fit anywhere. So when we left South Africa, I was like 3 or 4 years old. And then we went to Zaire, the Congo, which was in the middle of a civil war. It's just like everywhere we went was just survival. And so when we fled literally Zaire to the States, it's like it was just trigger after trauma after trauma after trauma, survival, survival, survival. So I'm just convinced, and my dad, God bless him, he was a legend in a lot of ways, but he just wasn't equipped to be the kind of dad to be like, let me help you understand what's happening. It was like he was just a military dad who was
In
doing the best
survival
he
mode.
could. He's doing the best he could. He's just trying to get his
Yeah.
kids to the States and get them legal, and you know, it was just there's just a lot of my childhood that's borrowed memory because I can see the photos, I have the stories from my mom and my brother, and, but the thing is we were raised we might as well have been in Africa because we were raised so isolated in the sense that we lived on a farm in Mohawk, Tennessee. So we had an Afrikaans Rhodesian military dad raising us on a farm, working in a foundry every day, you know, having the goats eat your homework and having to convince the teacher, no, this is real. We actually live this way. So
And
it's
where
like
was
we were
this at?
Mohawk, Tennessee. It's like 45 minutes
Oh,
outside
okay.
of Dollywood.
Yeah.
So I mean, we
Yeah.
live 2 miles away from the closest neighbor on gravel roads. It's like there was just no framework for Africa or my younger years because I'm convinced that there's just so much, there's so tumultuous that it just my brain just did what it does best because the brain's a machine and it created protective modes and locked all that stuff up. So yeah, it's just a crazy. I'm in the process of seeing if there's ways to unpack that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man.
I mean, I'm sure, of because you and your brothers are pretty close. I mean, there's probably
Yeah,
been a lot of just those conversations that you've had over the years of just
yeah.
unpacking that, but you're like, "Man, I don't get it," right?
No, yeah.
Um, and
It's a lot of borrowed. Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, man, I know that, so when did you move to the States? How old were you?
we moved in '89, so I was like 6, 7 years old.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so, you move here and, I you and you're explaining because 'cause you're talking about the, goats eating your homework. I'm like, "Oh, are you still in Africa?" But
Mhm.
that's actually
No, that's in America,
you're
bro. That,
still
no. And going to a middle school or elementary called McDonald's. So it's
yeah,
like we were it was about as country as it gets. People are like, "Are you from Africa? You don't sound like you're from Africa." I'm like, "Well, the Southerners beat it out of me." So they're like, "You talk
yeah,
funny." It's like, "Well, have you listened to yourself lately?" It's
yeah,
like so the accent just got taken. So yeah, it's a very confusing dynamic. I just call myself culturally confused because there's just every kind of. I mean, at this point, I'm a South African citizen, an American citizen, a British citizen. I have American and British passports. I have Spanish residency. There's probably something else, some chicken flu in there I haven't even thought about, but there's just every kind of mixture of continent and culture, and so yeah, it's a beautiful mess, man.
yeah, yeah, well, over the years, um it's crazy because I have, 3 different friends, and these 3 group of guys, like, my buddy Ace, he has 4 brothers. All 5 of them
Mm,
could sing. These dudes all could sing. I my
amazing.
my buddy Kenny, him and his 2 brothers, dude, beautiful voices.
Yeah.
And
Anybody
then I
named
got
Kenny should be able to sing.
oh, dude, this guy could blow. This dude this dude could sing. But and then you and your brothers, I was like, "Man, these
Yeah,
guys could sing, legitimately
yeah,
sing, like, all of them." And
uh,
it's funny because you and your brother, like, identical, and you guys
yeah,
nearly sound the same. I'm like, "How does this happen?"
That's genetics, man. It's them vocal cords being split from the same embryo, bro.
Yeah. Who was the
Yeah,
singer
no.
then? Who was the
Nobody. That's the thing, bro. There was no musical influence in our family outside of what we listened to in the foundry with my dad. Like he couldn't sing for nothing. Like didn't have an instrument background. My mom was the same. I don't know of any lineage in our family that has some musical capacity. It was 100% just a download. And the creator was like, "Here you go, bro. Like
Yeah.
you figure this out and open your mind up to it." Like I didn't even know that was even a possibility for me until way later in life. So
So,
it was just a
like high school or like
college. Like
college, really?
high school was the
You
first
suck,
time someone
man.
told me I'm sorry, bro. Yeah.
Dude, I'm like, I
That
hate guys like you because you're like, "Oh,
well,
just decide to sing one day."
not no, I was in a church one day and this lady turned around to me. I'll never forget it. Her name was Tikki Yates. She was on the worship team. And she turned around and I was singing behind her. Just having a good time. Because the church was rowdy. And I was just getting loud. And she turned around, she said, "Justin, you can sing?" I said, "Can I?" I was like, I never thought about it. Like, no one's ever like, I've never auditioned. And she was like, you need to audition for the worship team. It was like, that was the first time I was like, she's legitimately messing with me. Like, that's not a possibility. And then I went to college in Arizona and picked up a guitar and started going to this church in Mesa and they had auditions for this band called Resound, Rezound. I can't
Mhm.
remember the fella's name, Anderson, something Anderson. So I was like, that sounds like fun. I'll go audition for that. So I went and auditioned, and the guy was like, "Appreciate you auditioning, man. The middle school worship needs a worship pastor. Why don't you go check that out?" I was like, "You don't want me to sing with you?" He's like, "No." I was like, "I don't know if that's good or bad." So he never gave me a straight answer. So I was like, "I don't. I'm gonna just chalk that up to I'm better than you." And I was like really egotistical. So they stuck me in the middle school worship. And then I started learning worship I learned 3 songs I'd never played in front of anybody. The first performance I ever did was in Arizona at an open mic. So it was like a spoken word thing. And they asked me
Yeah.
to get up there and sing a song. That was the first time I ever performed on stage. And I was 19 or 20. So yeah. And then it just kind of it had continued to evolve from there. So yeah, it's been a wild ride. That was crazy.
But then your brother's singing with you, and he's like, "Oh, I guess I'll sing too," and you guys end up
No,
sounding
that's the
like
thing. I knew my older brother was doing work. He was like at college, like writing songs. Like he wanted to be the next,
oh,
like
oh,
he was
okay.
doing work. He was really into it. And I recorded a song one day and sent it to him. And I called him up. I said, "What do you think about this song, man?" He's like, "This is really nice, man. Where's this guy playing? Who's this?" I'm like, "Bro, that's me." He literally hung up the phone. He just hung up. I was like, that's unexpected. So I called him back. I was like, hello? He's like, "Bro, that's not funny." I was like, he's like, I love music, I'm writing and this and that. He's in Atlanta starting to gig out and stuff. I was like, "Bro, I'm fully serious. Like, that's me. I recorded that." And he's like, "You should probably move back from Arizona to Georgia. We need to do some music together." And, we pursued that and did the whole thing and recorded an album and got signed to a label and traveled and did shows at Brigham Young University before the Beach Boys, opening up for 40,000 people, and it was crazy. But, then music
So
took a
he yeah, so he thought
Mhm.
the same thing I just thought, like, you suck for just being able to
Yeah. No, I was like, "Listen, man." The problem is though, who I was then and who I am now, like even who you knew, like 11 years ago, 12 years ago, 10 years ago, however long it's been now. Yeah, no, 12 years. Shoot, bro.
Yeah,
Goodness
12.
gracious. Well, I had a lot less gray hair then. But I am a completely different person when it comes to music now than I was then. Because I mean, you give somebody who has who already is insecure. Like I was a chameleon my whole life. I became a chameleon because it was the easiest way to adapt to all the changes. Like if I could walk into a room and fit really quickly, I was safe. Like everybody could laugh. I could, make jokes. And my dynamic for the majority of my uh, life into my teens, into my young adulthood, was just being humorous. At most points due to the lack of just using other people as fodder for my cannon. I was just really good at cracking jokes and making people laugh, but most of the time is at other people's expense. But then you get a microphone and you figure out you have a talent. It's like now you've given a guy who's insecure an ego and a mic. It's like that's going to be really problematic. And when I first got to Spain, I was still doing music. That was in 2015, right at the beginning of 2015. I was still performing, still walking into the room, and like, it's like that SNL skit where the guy's like, "Don't make me sing," it's like, "Don't make me sing." Oh, okay,
Oh,
but I just have it. It's like
yeah,
Ron Burgundy pulls out a flute. He's like,
I
"I
just
just don't know."
happen to
Yeah,
have my
I just
guitar
have,
right here.
yeah. Oh, look at this. It's just now we're gonna
Yeah.
do a song, and it just was an easy way to capture people's attention and feel like I was loved and liked and seen. But then I met this incredible woman who helped me navigate dying to all of that in a really beautiful way, and
Well,
I put it down for about 6 years. So
yeah. Well, I wanna get
yeah.
into that, but I wanna rewind a little because when you moved to Colorado, uh,
Hmm.
it I don't know, was when you moved, was that when you, got hired on as a worship leader? Did
Hundred
did you
percent.
move did you move after getting the position?
No, no, that's a hilarious story. Eric Bain called me while I was in the moving truck, and I didn't even have a job. I was just like, "This
That's
is what we're
right.
doing."
I remember
And
that.
he's like, "Hey man, this is Eric from Colorado Ridge. I'm just calling, seeing if you're interested in the worship position at this church." And I was like, "You serious right now?" He's like, "Bro, I'm in the truck with dogs and cats, and no, I don't have a job." I'm like, "Let's go. Let's get connect and have a conversation and see how that works." And the rest was history. I mean, yeah, that was a really surreal time of, I mean, that I feel like that's just legitimately the majority of my life, just being like, I honestly don't know. But I think people are so risk averse that they feel like it's like, I'll have kids when I have enough money. It's like you're never
Yeah.
gonna have enough. Yeah, I'll
No.
have this when I have that. It's like we want to make life fit these parameters that just don't work. So it's like the majority of my life has been risk tolerant. Like I'm going to step out completely in faith here with no clue how this is going to land. But I'm basically jumping knowing that the parachute is going to show up before I hit the ground. So there's a certain level of I don't know. So that was
Yeah.
definitely moving to
No, there's
Colorado. And then
I and I love that about you. It's part of, and that's why I say it's so much a part of that's why I had to call you up, and
mm,
I just wanted to talk to you, man.
mhm.
I'd be like, "If you don't wanna do this," I'd be like, let's just talk, man,"
Yeah.
'cause,
Yeah.
it's so good to talk to you, but I'm so glad because you are a big part of just inspiring what I'm doing now because I
Mm,
just, I recently retired from my corporate job,
okay.
and it's kind of going into an unknowing, I'm kind of in that point of,
Mm,
w I know where God has me placed and where, um, things are supposed to be, and it's just like you have all these things going in different directions until they hit parallel to what
mhm,
everything starts going, everything will start going parallel soon, but, um, it's just kind of filling that out, taking that risk. Not everything's all
mhm,
crossed right now, but yeah, I totally appreciate that about you because I mean, even during that time, I had just left a church and we performed at the church. It was a smaller church where my buddy pastored, and I was
mhm.
doing worship there, and I'm like, man, I need to venture out and actually learn what it is to be an actual worship leader because I did music in different realms as far as like I was a producer of music and performed with a
Yeah.
couple other guys and we traveled around, did some touring, and then I was doing producing for some other people that I just wanted to do, but I was like, man, I want to know what it's like to just be a worship leader. But in
Yeah.
that I was able to work with guys like you who really, I really found a place in knowing where I was supposed to be, because
Mm,
working with guys like you, over the years, I've found and I look back at it and I know where I belong because I was always that piece that guys like you were like, man, I needed that piece, you know?
mm,
Or my buddy Kenny, when we had performed together, he's like, "Man, I needed that piece," you know? And
mm.
it wasn't always like I didn't have to be that front man, you know?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I knew I was that piece that was a part of something special, and man, it was such a good time being able to
Um,
worship you with you and perform with you, 'cause, being a part of that, being, a part of that, being a piece of that was meant more to me than anything, you know?
bro, that's amazing, man. That's beautiful. Thank you, bro. It was just I'm humbled, man, because it's amazing to me that in that season, I was just. It's amazing that you can step on stage, right, into a space of leading people in worship, and the Holy Spirit can still move. Like it's just you are a vessel. That you're just a conduit for this opportunity for people to come closer to connecting with the Spirit. And it's like even though internally I was at war with life. You know, I was like, this, I
Mhm,
don't know how to make any of this stuff work. But I knew I had a gift. I knew I had a presence about me to be able to speak truth in situations. It always felt very natural to me to be free form. You know, like the construct of worship to me, and like the four chord progression, kind of like this is how these let's just do these 20 songs and just repeat them. It's like for me, it was like it always felt much more natural just to kind of let it go, you know, just let it be free form, like that spontaneous kind of unfiltered worship that I've found a lot of comfort in knowing that I was given spaces to do that with people like you and the rest of the people on the team. But the reality is, man, like I was not in the healthiest place. And it's crazy. Like I had a conversation with a guy here. His name's Craig Bass. Such a sweet dude, man. Um, and he said to me one day, I was sitting in because the whole reason I came to Spain, which we can get into later, but I found this leadership academy that was training in a way that I'd never heard before. And it was just unbelievable. And it didn't hurt that it was in the south of Spain. So
mhm.
I was like, that sounds like a really good next step for me in this transition of my life because I was just so jacked up. And I was sitting there, and at that point, I had put music down altogether, like to the point that people didn't know I sang, didn't know I had an instrument, nothing. Like, did not talk about it, did not perform, nothing. And Craig Bass said to me one day, he was sitting in the room, I was the only other guy there, and he looked at me and said, "Hey, man, why'd you stop doing music? Why'd you stop doing worship?" I said, and I never forget it because I just looked at him and very truthfully said, "Look, man, the entire time I used God, He used me." I was like, it's that simple. Like I just
That's good
leveraged
right
this.
there.
Yeah, and
That's a beautiful statement.
it was just the truth, man. I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna vending machine you all day long. I'm gonna put in my coin and expect my candy. And then I'm gonna share that candy with others and be like, oh, don't, no, that's all God, man. Like, thank you. I'm glad that messed you up. Like, I will not sing that song at your funeral. That's super morbid. Please don't ask again. It's like, it's like people constantly show up and they say, man, that was, can't, I just, when you get affirmation all the time, it's like, it's so dangerous because it's like
Yeah.
you're receiving this narrative constantly that says you're enough, you're good,
I don't
and
I don't need to change anything.
you just keep putting off the brokenness, man. You're like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Like nothing to see here. Just the train wreck is behind the scenes. And it wasn't until I actually put it down that I realized that. So, but yeah, it's just a revelation of I'm really grateful. It's things like that that remind me of exactly that statement that even in the midst of like our brokenness and our lack and our selfishness to be able to walk into a space that we're literally supposed to be considered leaders in that space, we're just as jacked up as the dude next to us or the person sitting in the seat or the guy standing
Yeah.
outside who doesn't know whether he wants to even go inside. Like we're all trying
Well,
to figure it out.
and and I guarantee you, um, at least half of whether it be worship leaders or pastors feel the same way you do. They're just like,
Hmm.
I know I have a gift and I'm gonna figure all the other stuff out, but God, I'm just gonna be a vessel right now. And um, I mean, you were and such a wonderful vessel for that. I mean, for that position that you held,
Mm.
and I knew that was things, but I knew that God was using you in a way
Yeah.
that not a lot of people could get to that point of, whether it be your talent, whether it be your anointing, whatever you want to call it. That I just
Yeah.
feel like there wasn't a lot of people that were on that level, and I knew it was there. And but like you said, because I could be honest too. There was times that I was on a stage or doing, and I'm like, I'm not in any position to be on this stage
Yeah,
at a
yeah,
church, you know,
yeah, yeah.
you know,
But that's the beauty. That's the beauty of all the dudes in the halls of faith, the
yeah,
legends, man. Like, there's not one dude that's not completely jacked up. It's
yeah,
like it's like our brokenness. The pain is the greatest teacher. And when I think one of the greatest things, like you would call it anointing or talent or whatever. Oh, my monitor. Sorry, man. Like I got a monitor in here. One of my kids started crying. I'm gonna see if my wifey will get it. You never know what's gonna happen before
well,
babies, bro. I'm living in.
that's what this edit button's for. So
Yeah, there you go. You might use. I'm gonna
oh, I
see what
forgot.
happens. 'Cause,
This is going to be live. We're live right now. No, we're
hey,
not live.
people, look, look. You can't predict what little babies will do. Okay, they scream at the most random times. So hopefully she'll settle. Bring it back. Um, I think that the thing is when you have a talent, you have an anointing. I think the people that I've seen move more powerfully than anything else are the people that, as a teacher of mine said, they walk with a limp. You know,
Yeah,
they understand that they've had some brokenness and they've done the shadow work, and or they're in the midst of trying to navigate it, and that brokenness, it comes through because that's just the way the creator works. It's like, I'm going to utilize you and your brokenness to show people love. It's like,
yeah, and
have you ever seen The Chosen?
yeah,
Bro, that scene where he talks to little Simon, and
mm,
he's like, "Listen, man." He's like, "Just when are you gonna heal me, man? When are you gonna hook me up? Because
yep.
I'm struggling. I see you doing all this work with everybody else." He's like, "It's not for everybody, man. Not in that way. Like, and how much greater is it your testimony for people to see you living with your pain every day and showing up and be like, I'm still good."
So I was going to say, you were talking about uh people like limping along, with their talents.
Mhm.
But it's funny because I think even what you're this is a it's it's an interesting analogy, and I've heard this before about what you're talking about, because when they have those issues along the ways, it's like all of a sudden you turn it into like a gangster limp where nobody thinks you're hurt.
Exactly.
You're
Yeah.
just you make your limp look good, you know?
Yeah, like 50 Cent. You're like, I got shot 20
Yeah,
times, man. Uh,
yeah.
I'm still
It's just a gangster limp. Don't worry about it. Turn the other way.
it's street cred, man. Like,
Nothing to see here.
no, but I
But
think vulnerability, man, it's one of the most incredibly attractive things. Especially, I think dudes need it a lot more now. That's why I'm so thankful that I have four dudes in my life. My twin, my older brother, another friend named Enes, and my best friend who actually lives downstairs in Spain that I've known for
nice.
14 years. Crazy full circle
Wow.
synchronicity with life. The five of us talk every day and are so connected, and a lot of that has to do with just being vulnerable with our lack and being in an environment with other dudes who can hold space for that in a really honest, intentional way that are like, it's good, man. We know your heart. We know where you're at. We know you've missed it. You've succeeded. We go through every loss and every win, up and down, no matter how ugly or how beautiful. And we just hold space for each other in a way that's legit. Uh,
Yeah,
that's unlike anything I've seen.
that's and it's vital to have in your life. I mean, outside
Mhm.
of, I'm sure you and your wife have conversations of like that you need between a relationship. Like me and my wife, me and Bree,
Mhm.
Bree says hi, by the way.
Hey,
Um,
Bree,
so, but
miss ya.
yeah, yeah, but but outside of your marriage, that you need those relationships.
Yep,
And
yep.
like you seen me, I was just on the phone with my sister right before we got on here,
Uh,
and she's like she's a part of my rock, outside of my
yeah.
intimate in my marriage, my wife and my 2
Yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
And then I have my 3 buddies that, like, same with you, man. It's so vital for people to have to know that, um, and, whether it be I mean, it's almost a council, of people that
Yeah.
you just have in your life. But,
It's true.
yeah, man,
Everybody needs a brain trust, man.
yeah. Yeah, and I mean, you got your I met your brothers, and both of your brothers,
Yeah.
great man. I mean,
Oh,
just
man.
great individuals. Uh, I know, it's like with the group like that, it's like, how can you fail, you know? I think that's
Yeah. No.
maybe that's why you like, "I'm gonna take this risk because I know I have."
No, I
I don't.
definitely I definitely I had a guy here in Spain tell me, he's like, "Man," he's like, "Justin, I feel like you're what scripture talks about when, like, you're given that extra measure of faith. Like, you just go." And you're like, "I know it's good, man. Like, I don't have a flipping clue how this is gonna work." It's like, in all honesty, man, I feel like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a fraud in a lot of ways, because it's like, no, the support system I've got in emotionally and, encouragement-wise is so strong. Like, my brothers, my mom, my wife, Carolyn, I mean, they're just amazing in the sense of, like, "Yeah, you should probably do that. That seems crazy." But I had to jump back to something you said a second ago because it made me think of something. Because I 100% agree that there are containers of people that we have in our life, that can have different conversations, and they're not better or worse or ranked in different ways. They're just different. And
Mhm,
Sean, my best friend downstairs, he gave me the most beautiful analogy one day. The first thing he said was, conflict breeds intimacy. He's like, you have to lean into the conflict to be able to actually go deeper. If you don't fight, because me and Carolyn were together and it was like initial stages. I'm like, I think I'm gonna marry her, man. He's like, when's the last time you had a fight? I was like, we've never fought. He's like, that's a problem. He's like, you need to have a fight and you need to fight well. I mean, yeah, you love this dude. He's so amazing. I mean, he's been in the jungles of Burma for months at a time, filmed for National Geographic. He's been to more countries than I have. The guy's way more traveled than I've traveled. So it's like he's just got wisdom. And so he said to me, he's like, listen, man, your relationships everyone sits at a different table. He's like, your spouse and you will sit at the only table that anyone will ever sit at your entire life. No one else sits at that table. It's you and your woman. Below that is your family. They sit at a different table. And then it's your brothers. Even they sit at a different table. And the rest of the community, they have to figure out which table they sit at. And sometimes you'll have people invited to your table and you're like, no, thank you. You can't sit at this table anymore. And then you'll see other people who are like, I need you to come sit at this table. We need to go deeper. He's like, if you think of all the relationships that you have in your life and break it down to what table do you sit at, it makes it a lot easier to understand and filter the parameters of boundaries and acceptability and what conversations you need to navigate and how to even lean into the conversations because you're like, I can't go there with you because this is only given to this one person at this one table. Or I need to go there because she sits at this table, but you sit here in the context of men who are fathers who have dealt with loss and can speak into me in a way that she cannot. So it's like we sit at a completely different table, the five of us. So I think that imagery and that understanding of being able to have these conversations with people is super helpful. And I think people need to framework that because you can't just blanket statement everyone and go, everybody come sit in the living room and let's just do
yeah, it
life. It
doesn't
just
that
doesn't
just doesn't work,
doesn't work
no,
like that. No. And that's
no.
hard, especially for somebody like me who's like the perpetual optimist. And my wife's like, you're always the last person to show up to the realization party. Like they're leaving. I'm like, nah, they're good, man. They'll be here for another 2 years. Like 2 months later. What happened? We're like, that person's not toxic. Nah, baby, I think they're pretty good. And like, oh shoot, they're a serial killer. That's not good. Like I missed that altogether. It's like my awareness is not great because I'm so in the vein of like, I really do feel like everyone has good in them, a core strength. But it's just sometimes it takes a lot longer and they have to do the work. You have to be willing to do the work. It's someone you can lead them to water, so to speak, but they have to drink.
Yeah, yeah, that's a powerful statement right there.
Mhm.
I totally agree 'cause, I know that, I kinda wanna get into what kinda led you to your path now, 'cause you, the last time I seen you was in 2013, and,
Mm.
you actually sang at my sister's wedding. Do you remember that?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
no, I
and
do.
she'll never forget that. That was beautiful, and, that was, like, one of the last times I seen you, and
Mm.
we just kind of I mean, 'cause I and I think both of us are the type of people, we just understand that life just takes us different paths, but
Yeah,
the people that you could seriously hit up and say, "Hey,
yeah. Hey,
how's
let's
it"
go drink.
yeah,
Let's go sit down.
yeah.
Let's go have some chicken wings
I
and hang out.
I have so many of those friends, and I've tried to be, that type of person my whole life to where I know that, if I were to call somebody up, there would be a mutual, like, "Man, I love
Yeah,
hearing from you." And,
yeah.
that's why I'm so glad that you're, on this podcast right now 'cause
Nah,
it means
man.
a lot. But, so you 2013, let's fast forward to when you head out to Spain, and so you said it was a mission leadership?
Yeah, it was a leadership academy called G42.
Okay,
These guys, they had, there's a lot of tie-in here. There's a group called the World Race based out of Georgia, where they sent people all over the world for 11 months to 11 different countries. And the leader of that group, his name's Seth Barnes. Him and another guy who he's connected to named Andrew Shearman were basically creating different entities of leadership or missional stuff. And Andrew Shearman, this legend of a British cat, um, decided he wanted to found G42, this leadership academy, in um, in the south of Spain because he had been visiting and living here. And so he just started this thing back in 2007 or 8. I don't remember exactly the year, or maybe 9. Anyways, and so it was just a small, like 20 to 30 alumni at a time kind of thing. You moved here for 6 months. They were kind of doing it without under the radar in the sense that your tourist visa only allows you 3 months. So people were coming in and staying for 6 for the thing. They didn't run into any issues really until COVID, but so yeah, man, it's so hard to tie this all in for you. But I went to in July. I was probably the lowest I'd ever been in my life, like super depressed, crazy unhealthy, chain smoking every day, like multiple packs of cigarettes, and just like drinking a lot, and just incredibly unhealthy. And because at that point, I feel like everything on my life was gone, like everything that I wanted to be, everything that I'd had my whole life, like all the relationships, all the money, all the jobs, all the dreams, like everything was gone. So I was just basically just gigging, just performing at bars 3, 4 times a week and doing other side jobs and things of that nature. And my older brother was like, "Hey man, why don't you come to Boston?" Because he was living in Boston at that point, Carl. So
yeah,
why don't you come to Boston? I think I can get you a couple gigs. I was like, cool, man. I need to change the scenery. So I just packed a bag and took my guitar and went up there. I think I got there like July 3rd. By like the first week of August, I think I did 27 gigs. So it was like it just gig after gig after gig, and I was out playing. And I expect to like get some form of tips. You have all the formulas. Like my tip jar was called Phil. So like, does it Phil? His name is appropriate. Please come to the tip jar. Make his
that's
name
good.
real. It was hilarious. So many things that were just completely absurd for a performer. And so I was like, I should expect, some normal terms. I was getting like 100, $200 tips off of like one person. I've been going home from gigs with like five, $600 gigs. I'm like, what is happening? Come to find out, I didn't know this until hindsight. It completely funded my travel to Europe. So at one point in the first week of August, my brother was like, "Hey man, there's this like 3-day music festival going on in England called David's Tent. You want to go with me?" I was like, "Yeah." Like at this point, I have no parameters. Like I'm just alone, and so I'm like, "I'll just go." I didn't even have a passport. I went to the British passport office in Boston. Was like, "Hey, can you get me an emergency passport?" They're like, "Yeah, I got it to me same day." And like that was 8 days before we left. Where I was like,
That's crazy,
"That was
that's unheard
insane."
of.
But I'm not. It gets so much better. It's completely insane. I get to England and they take my passport because they told me we will take your passport when you get to England, and before you can leave England, you need to have your passport renewed. Anyways, in between that process, I go to this thing called David's Tent, and I run into these people at the event that are doing recruiting, this G42, and I met Andrew and another legend, Daniel Thornhill, and a bunch of other people, and they're like, "You should come to Spain." I'm like, I've never been to Spain. And they're like, well, our buddy Alan here, he's got a van. I'm like, nice, this is going to be awesome. He's like, they're driving. You should go with them. And so I literally get in a van with 8 random people I've never met in my life and drive from England to Spain. So it's like, and and literally they're waiting. The van is waiting for me while I'm standing outside Her Majesty's passport office in London, waiting to get my passport through a window that I got within seconds of the office closing the day before. Like I was sleeping on the floor of this guy's house named Roland. He worked for an MP in Parliament, and he's like, "What is happening here?" He's like, "I thought you were African." I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "But you sound American." I'm like, "Also true." He's like, "But we're here at the British Passport Office." I'm like, "Correctly noted, sir. Yes." He's like, "What is happening?" I'm like, "I'm British because my mom's British and I was born in South Africa, inheritance, things of that nature." He's like, "Okay." They hand me the passport. Within seconds of clothing, I get in this van and drive to Spain. I get to Mijas, and I kid you not, bro, it is the first time in my entire life I've felt at home anywhere. I mean, I cannot overstate that. I cannot articulate it. And I wasn't like dialed into the school. I didn't know anything about the community. I just showed up in this whitewashed Andalusian village that has a bunch of doors that have your last name because it's Castellano. It's a
Hmm.
style
I
of
know.
door of furniture. You got some nice doors over here, bro.
I know. I'm telling you, when I come visit you someday, I'll be right at
Let's
home.
go. You will. You're gonna be like, these are my people.
Yeah.
They make all this furniture has my name on it, and I've gotten paid nothing. No, so I landed in Miklas, and it was just abundantly clear that I was supposed to be here. And I had roadblock after roadblock and temptation after temptation, being like, "How bad do you really want this?" Because at that point, when I came here, I had gotten solicited by a completely random guy who saw me do a gig. It was at a wedding. He said, "Hey, man, I have a band that's going to be playing cruise ships in the summer. Would you be interested?" I'm like, "For sure." He's like, "You need to audition." So I showed up, auditioned in my velvet jacket, my boots, because that's what you do. Because I was totally egotistical.
The velvet
And
jacket should have said it
bro,
all.
the velvet jacket, I looked good, and I was
I
totally
mean, yeah,
jacked
you
up.
did.
Yeah, and we got the gig. So he's like, "Listen, it starts at this point in the year." I'm like, "Great, I'm gonna go to Spain. I'm gonna." And when I got here, I realized pretty quickly, like, I have to be here. So I signed up for the first term of G42, which started January 5th of 2015. I was going to do the first 3 months, and it was perfect because the cruise gig, which paid an ungodly amount of money for me just to sing. I didn't have to have any instrument. I didn't have to do anything. I just showed up in my velvet jacket, got paid a whole bunch of money, and had free everything on a cruise. It was like I forgot the cruise line. Anyways, it was like the dream gig for me at that point. Lowest lift possible. I'm gonna go do the first term. In between that, I'll do 6 months of cruise ship, make a whole bunch of money, come back and do the second term at the end of the year. And the staff was like, "You sure you want to do that?" I'm like, "Yeah." And one day I just had a really hard conversation with the founder, Andrew Sherman. He's like, this is a bad idea." He's like, "You need community. You need to be here. The whole reason you came here was to die to all of that stuff that caused all of the brokenness that you've experienced in life. And you've come here intentionally to do that. And now you're going to leave and go step back into an environment that, if you know yourself, because I was like, everything was like, I just want it now. It's instant gratification. It's like that feels really good. I'm gonna grab a hold of that. There's money. There's free drink. There's travel. It was enticing on every level, and it was justified because I was like, I'm making money.
Yeah.
And I called my brothers and I talked to them. I was like, "What do you think? What do you think?" And I'm just sitting on the balcony at this house here, just in the village, just smoking, being like, "What am I supposed to do with this thing?" And I just had it so clearly dropped in my spirit. I was like, I can't leave. Like, if I leave, it's just, I'm not coming back. Like, it's not going to work. I'm not just physically coming back. Like, I'm mentally not coming back.
Yeah.
And so the next day, I saw Andrew, and he was walking on the street. And he knew it too. He said, "You've made a decision." And I wish you could see this guy, man. Just imagine like the most like rugged, like man's man, kind of a Brit, like 75 years old, and just like silverhead legend. Like he's just a stud. Um, and he's like, "You've made a decision." I'm like, "I have." And I got real serious. I was like, "I've decided to become a nun." I'll never forget it. I kid you not. He slapped me right in the face. He's like, "Liver," that's what he called me. He goes, "Liver, give me a straight answer." And he's like messing with me, right? Because that was his thing. He used to like going around slapping the guys, be like, "Let's go." And so I was like, "No, I've obviously decided to stay. It's the right call." Bro, that night, I got a Facebook message from the guy who had coordinated the whole gig. He's like, "So sorry, bro. I've been in the hospital for like 3 weeks. I'm literally warring with this decision for 3 weeks." This guy messages me that night and says, "I've been in the hospital for 3 weeks. I've been trying to get a hold of you, but trying to get to my computer, my phone, whatever, and tell you they canceled the whole gig." And I was like,
Oh my god.
holy all the things. I was like, it it hit me so hard, man, that it was like I was given the freedom and the gift to make the decision for myself without knowing that it was already gone. Like I was gone. Like I would have had to have pivoted regardless. But there was something about making the decision on my own before knowing the outcome that changed everything for me. So
Yeah.
it solidified my reason for being here. And then everything unfolded from that. I mean, within a month of that, Carolyn and I were together, because the first 3 months, I was like, I was not likable.
So did
So,
you meet her before this point or after this point?
yeah, no, no, no. The first time we met was January 4th, 2015. So we met. She always jokes
In
about it.
Spain?
She's in Spain. She came
Yeah.
to the Leadership Academy. She's from Houston, Texas. So she came to the Leadership Academy. And she jokes about how she walked in because there was a bunch of interns, and I'm clearly one of the older guys here. I'm like out of my element because most of these kids are like 19, 20, 24. I'm like over here 31 years old.
You're like, "I'm starting
Like
to
the
figure
older,
things out finally."
yeah. Yeah, I'm just now getting to the point where my brain's coming fully online, like dealt with a whole bunch of brokenness. Now let's figure this out. And she walks in the room and she tells us in hindsight, so funny. She's like, "Who's the old guy?" You know, like in her mind, she just sees me in my leather jacket and cowboy boots, feet up on the table, like just observing everyone because this is the first day everybody meets. And for the first 3 months, I lived in a different house because we had like multiple intern houses. So at that point, all the money that I made from the gigs funded everything. And one of my big things was I want to take every single person in community out to lunch. Because as you know, like from my history of being together, one of my greatest passions in life is anything around food. So I was like, I love connecting with people. I mean, I started a whole blog called Nomad's Feast, like hashtag breaking bread. Like I was like, nah, I'm gonna put my face out there. Let everybody see me. Because it's not about me. It's not about me. And it was so much nonsense. And this woman saw through every ounce of it. Bro, I went through 34 people before I got to taking her out to lunch because I was actually terrified. I was like, she's gonna eat me. I'm like, she's so strong,
You knew she's seen it.
bro. She didn't laugh at any of my jokes. It's like she was
Oh,
like,
man, that's
"Honey,"
the worst.
she's like, "Yes, you have a gift. Yes, you can sing. Everybody knows that. Put your guitar down. Like it's enough. It's all nonsense." And she just spoke so clearly to me, man. Like when I was moved from the house that I was in into a different intern house where she was living, and her vocation is interior design. So she upped the game for the whole house. Man, the first thing I do when I come in the house is I start putting my really like collector beer bottles like up on the shelf,
Oh,
like
man.
West Bletheren and like different things. She's like, "Not today." It's like, "Not today." No, and
She's
thus
she's
began.
like, "Easy, Frank the Tank."
Yeah. She's like, "I understand you appreciate the libation, but you need to slow down in a lot of ways."
That's awesome.
And so, and then the staff. The funniest thing, bro, God has such a sense of humor, man, and you don't see it until later. But the staff went to her and said, or they paired you up. You're supposed to be with one other intern once a week doing chores or cooking or grocery shopping or cleaning, fill in the blank. They put us together for 8 weeks straight on everything. And she went to the office and she's like, "Not okay with this. Like, this is not
Oh,
okay."
man.
And their exact response to her was, "You're the only one that can handle him." So I was like, The-
You were full on.
this
You were in full on tool mode, right?
Bro,
You're just
I was
like,
like, I was like, I'm not being mean, but I'm like, I am full of some self. I used to go around just being like, I love me some me, but that was just all facade. It was all just like, don't really look at what's going on. And she saw through it so clearly, man, that we started doing that the first week of March and or the last week of March. And I literally, by April 27th, was like, You are unequivocally mine." It was like so deeply rooted in my spirit that I was like, there's no question. Like, it is so abundantly clear. The trajectory of my life requires this woman in my life, that if she will have me in all of my brokenness and history and lack, I am going to become the greatest person I could ever be. And it will be in large part because of the counterpart that she is to me. And by the grace of God, she was like, "Yeah, I feel the same way." And we had the most amazing journey through the rest of the internship that ended in June. I mean, she was nuts, bro. You talk about risk averse or risk tolerant. She had no visa. She couldn't drive a stick. She's like, I have no business investing in a property here, the building that we live in now. She was like, I'm going to renovate this home, this centuries old home, without any documentation that says I can be here to do that. And nobody to help me. Just a 27-year-old gangster. Doesn't speak the
yeah,
language, nothing. And she took on this project without anyone else. I mean, with the whole community, or not the whole community, that's not really fair. With a significant portion of the community being like, that's a bad idea. And she'd be like, you're wrong. I'm sorry. I know. I trust it. And sure enough, it's been the most. I'll send you offline. I'll send you a link. Actually, if you just go to memento.ltd, that's the website of my best friend downstairs who does private chefing. That
okay,
cave she designed. So it
wow,
was just an old cave that was just where they kept the animals, Like
yeah,
we live in an ancient village, man. And so she renovated this property, started this renovation, got together with me, and April 27th, we got together. She realized, hold on, I can inherit every. The joke is always like she married me for my passport. She's like, "Wait, you have a British passport?" I was like, "Yeah, is that a plus for you?"
oh man,
She's like, "This was pre-Brexit, right? Brexit jacked it all up. I had to come back and get a digital nomad visa and go through a whole bunch of mess. But pre-Brexit, I was just here. No issue, no paperwork, nothing." And she's like, "Do I inherit all of those rights?" I'm like, "You got that right." She's like, "Put a ring on it, baby." No, it was way more complicated than that. But the trajectory was April 27th, we were together. July 27th, I proposed, and November 27th, we were married. And this November will be it's the 27th today. That's awesome. It'll be 10 years, November 27th,
nice,
with an ungodly amount of moves and loss and wins and 4 children. And I live in the south of Spain pursuing my dreams with a woman who is incredible and 4 little babies who are healthy and flipping beautiful. So yeah, I'm very, very it's a whole nother world that I live in, man.
yeah. I've I love journeys like yours, and I know that it it took a lot to get to where you're at. Because I mean, we don't always get to. I I shouldn't say we don't always get to. I don't think we always allow ourselves to take those journeys, allow ourselves to, um, as you're saying, take the risks that sometimes we just need to take because doing that, you wouldn't have. I mean, you would have never
No.
met your wife. You would have never. You would probably still be in Tennessee right now, right?
Oh, in
And
Georgia, yeah.
yeah, or Georgia, and 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 in all of this, the way you've inspired of what you've done is because not only as you were on stage, because that was such a beautiful thing when we were able to do that, but just the way you were able to move forward through different things because man, it's sometimes when we get in these dark corners, it's
Yeah.
like it's the way we're pulling out of them because uh and sometimes we have to dig deeper in them. We're like, oh, we're just going to keep digging into this corner and digging and
Yeah.
digging and I but you I think you've taken what you have now and allowed yourself, you know, through things like what you're doing just now. You just did a
Mm.
7-day fast because you're like, I don't wanna be in that position anymore, so I'm gonna have to take these
No,
steps to constantly better who I am, and
no,
it's more important now than ever because you
no.
got 4 little ones and your beautiful wife, and it's like, man, you just you wanna be the best at who you are right now for your family. Because I totally relate
Mm.
because, I mean, my family is everything to me, my
No.
son CJ, my daughter Brooke, my wife
Mhm.
Bree. I mean, my son's he's already 21, uh,
Bro, that's
my
crazy.
my daughter's 18, she's gonna graduate high school this year, and,
Amazing.
so they're, like, at points, and, these are things that I've, like, even, I talked at points in my life with them because there's some times where I felt like I was stuck, and it was me just getting in my own way of things,
100%.
and
Yeah,
I try and tell them to don't do this, and you know, being able to find direction and know that there is another direction because you've taken the wrong direction too many times,
yeah, yeah.
that's a beautiful thing, and now, I mean, your kids are still young, and man, you
Mhm.
got a ways to go, man.
Bro, I just keep celebrating victories, being like it's the thing. It's so funny with being a dad. It's like I never thought I'd be a dad. You know, I put it to death. I was like, after all the loss that I've experienced in life, I was like, I don't know that I have the capacity to try and steward some body like a human. Like, how am I going to do that? I'm so like I'm in so much lack in and of myself. Like, I'll just not be a dad. And then everything changed at David's tent and G42 that reinvigorated that. Man, it's like when you look at your little kids and you're like, there's such a mirror to your lack in a way that's so beautiful. It's like so many times. I think the problem is with parenting is we're not really taught that your kids are teaching you every day.
Mm,
Like, you are teaching your kids, but they're teaching you way your for the vast majority of the young years of their life, they are put there to trigger you. They are put there to challenge you because they don't even have the capacity to understand what they're doing. Like, neurologically, just go talk to my twin for 8 minutes and see if he doesn't change your life on how you understand how your kid's brain works. Because he's a functional neurologist. Like, he literally
yeah,
rehabilitates kids' brains on a daily basis. And it's like, the understanding the because the hardest thing for me is I see them as older, and Carolyn has to constantly remind me they're babies. Like, they're not trying to be manipulative. He's 3. I'm like, no, did you see what he just did? He's playing me. That boy knows he's lying to my face. And she's like, he's really not. It's like, you're still talking, you're having an argument with a person who still thinks it's okay to poop himself. Like, I think
yeah,
you need to recognize who's in the wrong here. And I think a lot of people are like, I just want to get through the younger years to get to the older years. And then you have all the quotes like, hey, man, small people, small problems, big people, big problems. It's like everybody has their context for whether they prefer younger or older. I want all of it. I want the young years. I want the diapers, the mess. I want them growing up, hitting puberty, having their brains break, and then getting into teenage years and having adult conversations because it's like, I want my kids to always be able to come back to me as a safe space. Because if I don't understand, that's part of the fast. It's like I was getting to a point where it's like, I think I might be reacting in a way that my kids might be starting scared of me. It's like I need to like change my tone, my posture, my reactivity. I need to be this tender lion, this sage warrior that has all this wisdom, but will go fight all day for the right reasons in the right direction. And I'm not fighting my wife. I'm not fighting my kids. I'm fighting a battle internally to figure out
yeah,
like how do I actually absorb everything that is being put into my plate because as men we carry a lot of things and as women they carry a lot of things. We have different containers for what we're naturally gifted at and what we have to carry. And sometimes I think we have the ability as men to overemphasize the burden that we carry because as typical statements like being a provider and having to do this and do that. It's like at the end of the day the focus is just on being a better you. Doesn't matter whether you're a mom or a dad or a husband or a father or single or whatever. It's like if we have the ability to lean into the pain, the suffering, because you can't avoid it, it's inevitable. And I think that when you talk about me like navigating that stuff, I think my childhood, even the things I can't remember, formed me in to have this natural ability to be so hungry for the knowledge of how to become more and to accept the fact that suffering is just a part of life, but it's not the only part of life, it's a necessary part of the road that we have to walk. That's like it doesn't mean that I wasn't had all this failure in the past. It doesn't mean that I won't fail in the future. It just means I know that I'm already equipped to see my future self,
Yeah.
to navigate that path. It's
Yeah,
just a
man.
journey.
It it is. And I my goal is with this podcast, the people that I've ended up really reconnecting with because of their journeys, because of the amazing steps they've taken in their life. I I plan to be out there, man. I plan to be out there
Let's go.
by because I mean, for one, it's Spain. For two, and I'm telling you, the first time I popped up and I just seen, I'm like, this dude, he's photoshopping photos up in here that has a full on family.
I'm gonna show you something. Look at this. Hey, I don't know how it's gonna show up on camera. This is a picture from the balcony of where Carolyn and I were doing a video shoot the other day for her design business, Driftwood. We're in the process of shooting a promo video. This is a shot from the balcony of the spot. Can you see that?
Yeah, man.
The
That's
blue
just
is the Mediterranean. That is not
I
the
know,
sky. The sky is above it.
I
So it's
know.
like I'm like this is it's hard to quantify how dope it is to live here. I mean, the traffic jams that I deal with are donkeys, literally.
Man,
How long do I have to wait?
it sounds wonderful. Well,
You need to
me,
come.
well, Bree and I mean, of course, the kids will be like, "Well, we want to come," but I mean,
Sure.
Bree and I will soon be empty nesters, so it'll be time to do some traveling.
Yeah. I mean, this, bro, it's the
We'll
richest region.
we'll come over there. We know how to watch some kids. We'll watch some kids, letting you and
Don't tempt me, brother. Like you want a shocking statistic? Carolyn and I have not had a night to ourselves since she was pregnant with Judah.
wow.
So that is, and she got pregnant 7 months into our marriage. So it's like, I mean, you're talking about 10 years, man. Like a
Well,
full night. Like, you wake up in the morning, no kids. You're like, I don't hear
well,
nothing.
I'll take a look at the kids and I'll be like, okay, which one's like the Justin? I'll be like, oh, I'm not gonna watch that one. I'll watch that one.
You're gonna have to
Yeah,
find an Airbnb,
yeah,
bro. Like, sir, I am 4 years old.
yeah.
That's okay, man. I'll put some snacks
No,
in the
man.
fridge. You'll be all right.
No, I'd love to be a part of it because I mean I appreciate you doing this, man. Because it's uh and we'll conversate some more, bro. Because it
Nah,
you're just a wonderful human being, and I know your heart. Even from what you went out to Spain to do, is your heart is
mm,
in you're a selfless person, and I know that a lot of the stuff you say that you're like there was a lot of ego, but I think a lot of
mm,
what you've done is for you love seeing other people grow along your
yeah,
side. So
yeah,
that, it's one of those things that I know and I know it's true. So that's
yeah.
why I
Thank
wanted
you,
to
man.
call that's why I wanted to call you up and have you on this, man.
Bro, I loved seeing your name pop up on my phone. I was like, "What in the world?" I was like, "That was so nice, man. That was a pleasant surprise." Because it would definitely is like not one of those things you're like, "Oh shoot, hang up, like quick, delete." Like you get nervous when you see the phone pop up. It was just a genuine pleasure, man. I adored our time together, and I wish the season had lasted longer, but I'm grateful, like you said,
No,
that you have
man.
the ability to connect with people in because time is if it's really an image, it's a mirror, man. It's a mirage, excuse me. It's
Yeah.
like whether it's 10 years or 10 days or 10 minutes, if you have a connection and you've built relational equity and it's built on integrity and truth, it's gonna be the same. So I
Yeah.
feel the same way right now. So I appreciate your time, man.
So like I said, when we get out there, man, I can't wait. It's gonna happen. I'm
Yeah,
gonna have a just a moment right now and have an optimistic moment and say,
let's
"I'll
go.
I'll see you in a few, all right?"
Bring it, man. You better come hungry because we got all the food.
Yeah, I can't, man. I feel like
Yeah,
hopping
just
on a plane right
uh,
now.
let's go. Paella will change your life.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you tell the wife and kids, thank you so much for letting me borrow you
Mm,
for this hour, man, 'cause it's
uh,
been a pleasure, and I'll,
yeah,
we'll stay in contact 'cause, this is
mm,
just part 1 of many,
dope.
but
Yeah, man. There's I want to like part two has to be the Vince Castellanos story, bro. Like I want to know all your
yeah,
stuff, Mister
yeah,
Retiree.
there's oh, man, it's semi-retired. I'm just
So-
now I'm just doing what, I believe God has, meant for me to do,
Amazing, man.
so,
That's gonna be the richest season in your life, man.
yeah. So,
I love
man,
it. Yeah, let's do part two, man. I'm ready.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, man.
Blessings.
Much love. Blessings to you too, brother.
Play, 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 play.